Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is GHS InfoSec, and in this video I want to be giving you my thoughts on the Bug Hunters Methodology Live. I'm going to be doing a review of the course. This is a course by Jason Haddix. He puts it on every year for the last several years that I'm aware of, and I'm going to just be giving you my thoughts on it, my 2 cents, what I got out of it, what I think you may get out of it if you're interested in checking it out. And so with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get this thing started. So most of you probably know who Jason Haddix is. He's well known in the cybersecurity industry. He's also well known for the Bug Hunters Methodology Live training in particular. This is a training he does, I believe, at least once a year, and he did it twice this year. I actually enjoyed it so much the first time that I took it a second time, and I can just tell you that it's absolutely world-class training. So let's talk a little bit about some of the content of the course. So this course goes a little bit beyond some of the surface level knowledge that you may be aware of. For me in particular, I've done a lot of CTF challenges, and I was looking for something that was a little bit beyond beginner level stuff, which is what, unfortunately, a lot of that stuff is out there on the internet. That's not a bad thing, but how do you go from learning how to do these things in a playground style CTF or cyber range exercise type thing and actually apply that to a live target? And so you don't have to be an expert at doing this stuff, but you probably should have at least some fundamental understanding of various attack types and what types of things to look out for in terms of cross-site scripting or IDORs or whatever you may have some sort of affinity towards in terms of attacks. And it's not a typical A to Z style, here's how you do an XSS type course. It's more about like, here's how you look for bugs and here's how you find more places to look for bugs. There's a lot more meaning and depth to the recon and the application analysis that you're going to be doing when you start doing a bug bounty or doing a red team engagement. And the way it stands right now, the course is broken up into 2 days. I think there's some plans for next year to kind of do some spin-offs and do some other things. But it's 2 full days, 8 to 9 hours, both days of just nonstop content. So on day one is the recon day, and you're going to start out by understanding the scope of the target. You're going to learn how to do ASN enumeration with Shodan, link discovery. You're going to learn about ad and analytics frameworks and how those can be used for reconnaissance, various types of scraping. Then there's an entire section on cloud recon and tracking and note-taking to keep up with the things that you've discovered and what you may want to test further. And there's so much more in relation to mapping out your attack surface. So the main goal of the recon portion of the class is to teach you how to discover as many assets as possible to maximize your chances of finding bugs. And there's one slide in particular where Jason talks about how most recon will get you about 90% of what you're looking to gather in terms of recon information. The depth that he goes into on day one shows you how to go just a little bit deeper and get that extra 10% and find those extra 10% of assets that other people may not know about yet and kind of give you a little bit of an advantage when it comes to hunting those targets. And day 2 is focused on application analysis. This day is a little bit more red teaming focused. You definitely have a little bit more red team topics like initial access, credential operations like password spraying, command and control, distribution and stealth, and then things that apply also to bug bounty are like content discovery and fuzzing. And just like day 1, there are numerous other resources that he gives you, and a lot of times he gives you his own tips and tricks that he uses in the real world because he cares about, the value that you get out of that. We're going to talk about the value of the course later, but he really cares about what he's doing and teaching. You can tell he has a heart for teaching people how to do this stuff. So what would the practical application and the real world applicability be for a course like this? Well, for one, you can start using these things immediately, especially if you're a bug bounty hunter. As long as you have identified a target and you understand the scope of whatever it is that they have out there for their program, you can immediately start applying this to hacking on that target right away. And I know this is true because the first time I took the class, while the class was going on, some students were following along and they were actively finding bugs in the class. There were probably 3 or 4 students, I think, that were popping some bugs while we were going through just day one, and it just continued throughout the rest of that weekend. It was really awesome. I was not one of those people during the class because I can't do 2 things at one time, and sometimes I have the attention span of a gnat. But I can tell you from my own personal experience that I've been trying bug bounty for about a year, and up until I took the course, I really struggled a lot with how to pick a target. Where do I start? What is my methodology? Didn't really have one. But after taking the class and started applying some of the things that I learned, I was able to see a lot of improvements and able to discover more assets and more vulnerabilities, and actually started finding some valid bugs, which is really awesome. As far as the format and the structure of the course, I kind of gave you a little bit of the background on the syllabus, but the format of the course is very engaging. Throughout the course, Jason is sharing real world stories from his own experience, and some of them are hilarious. Some of them are just absolutely mind blowing. And a lot of the more seasoned students that were in the class, they had some good stories to share as well. The chat while the class is going on is totally active. Jason's interacting with it, answering questions, and it's just a really good atmosphere for sharing and learning from others. And where he can, he'll do some live demos of the tools and kind of give you some applicable use cases for where these tools can be used and what type of techniques you can use, as well as what type of attacks to look out for in certain conditions. Now, as far as the content of the course itself is, cybersecurity is a very fast moving, fast growing space in the IT industry. And so you've got to stay on top of current events, current topics, techniques and tactics and things like that in order to stay relevant. And Jason constantly updates the course to make sure that it is up to date. And even during the class, he would update it live. So the content is always being updated. The first time I took it was about 5 months ago, and between the first time and the second time of taking the course, there was probably at least 30% more content added to the course. And since he has big plans for 2024 to kind of split off some of the sections, I honestly think that the content's just going to keep growing and just keep getting better and keep evolving into a more holistic suite of trainings that can benefit you in web application hacking, red teaming, and all sorts of things. Now, as I said before, this is a 16-hour, it's marked as a 16-hour course currently. And there's a lot of information that he's trying to teach throughout both day one and day two. So it is moderately fast paced just because of the amount of information that he wants to get across. And also, as I mentioned, you don't have to be a seasoned hacker to understand the material or to gain any value out of it. It definitely helps if you have at least some familiarity with usage of tools and the command line and VPS and a little bit of cloud infrastructure and that sort of stuff. But for the most part, I gained a lot out of it. I'm not a real seasoned hacker, and people really at all skill levels should be able to gain some benefit from taking this course. So now let's talk about the community and support that kind of comes along with this course. The Discord server that he has, I'll leave a link to that in the description. It's very active. He has a public section of the Discord server that's open to anyone, but by signing up for the course, you get access to the private channels that are just exclusively for that training. And Jason himself is also very active in there. He's answering questions, he'll be asking questions, he's posting some cool findings. And as far as the Discord server goes, it really is a good opportunity to do some networking. If you're engaged in this kind of community, there's naturally going to be a lot of opportunities to network with other people who maybe have been in the industry longer. Maybe they work in a section of the industry that you want to get into or you're trying to grow into. And there is a helping out channel in there. I believe it's actually part of the public facing Discord. So if you're looking to make some connections in the industry and maybe kind of get your foot in the door somewhere, that may be a good place to join if you're looking to do that. And if you take it seriously and you buckle down and you apply this to your own methodology, you should see a return from your investment. And if I can do it, you can do it. I definitely have been successful enough to cover the cost of the course, and I'll just leave it at that. So that's pretty much it. That is my review of the Buck Hunters methodology. Be sure to check the links in the description. Thanks to Jason Haddix for putting on such an awesome training and for all the information that he's, doling out there for the industry. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to take the course. I hope you gained something from it. If you're on the fence about it or thinking about it, I hope this review has convinced you that you need to take it. And so go out there and find some bugs. Thanks for watching.